is by one who is a Harvard certified consultant, is a certified coach, is a Microsoft certified technology specialist, is a World Bank and British Council trained development knowledge facilitator with a certificate in proficiency in management and distinction in small business management and a certificate in global prosperity beyond GDP from the University College London. He is currently the chairman, Young CEOs at the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and was recently appointed as the first National Prosperity Policy Fellow at the National Chamber Policy Center in Abuja. He is the managing partner and chief executive officer at BraveICONS Global, an emerging global professional service firm. He's into management consulting, and he can make your life better. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we welcome Fife Banks.
Wow. Thank you very much, Ben, for that introduction. Nancy, thank you for the opportunity, and congratulations. Congratulations, sir. And congratulations to all the speakers today and all the VIPs in the audience. Thank you very much for making this meeting today. I have the next 30 minutes to see if I can jolt you out of your reverie and get you to begin to prosper. That's my intention, really. But the people that have come up to speak, we can as well just go home. Trust me. Like, what else are we going to say? What more shall we say to these things, right? Where do I begin from? I think we should start with a game, and that's what I have on my slides. If you can put the slides up. It's up now. Okay, right. This is what to expect today. We'll look at the principle of potential. What is prosperity? Let's see if we can define it. And then I'll talk about the metrics required for you to be able to achieve prosperity. And then we'll look at some metrics, and then we'll consider why people and enterprises fail to prosper, and how do you, thank you very much, and how do you develop prosperity. I also have a bonus for you. Right, so let's begin with a game and see if we can get some energy in the room. Before we begin, let's play the C game. You can only use one word to describe Nigeria, and that word must start with letter C. So let's hear it, let's hear it. No, let's hear it. Don't be shy. Please. You have to use a C word. I'm hearing corruption, okay? Another word. No, we've heard corruption. Consumption. Creativity. If you say creativity, stand up for recognition. Okay. Confusion. Country, okay? That's capacity. Please stand up for recognition, sir.
Coconut.
Okay. Which primary school did you go to? Capacity. Then somebody talked about creativity. Another C. Culture. Okay. Competence. Who said competence? Competence. Stand up for recognition. Courage. Stand up for recognition. Consumption. Sit down. All right, sir. Catastrophe. Okay, please, everyone that is standing up, please, let's give them a round of applause. You see, there's a very powerful message behind the game we just played. It's not about what happens to us. It's about how we see it. You can either see a glass as half empty or as half full. And every day we are all being conditioned. Every single day. I don't think there is a child in the room. Everybody is an adult. We all have developed strategies with which we live our lives as adults. And it's based on the conditioning that we've had since when we're young, the schools we go to, the people we associate with. And what has happened is that we now have a mindset. The way we think things are, but that may not necessarily be the way things really are. I want you to look in the eyes of your neighbor with some guts and tell them that all you know is all you know, but not all you know is all there is. I can see some people are afraid to tell their neighbors. So let's do it again. All you know is all you know. But not all you know is all there is. Fantastic. So my job is simple now, with the hope that all of us now have an open mind. We will first talk about the principle of potential, and I want to ask you a question which I will answer. What do you think is the potential of a seed? Now you're probably thinking, okay, maybe it's to become a tree, maybe it's to produce some fruit. Trust me, the potential of any seed is neither some fruit or a tree, but it's actually a forest. One seed, subjected to its proper life cycle, you plant it, it grows, that seed will become, many fruits, and then you plant it again. That one seed can become a forest. Now, to take a cue from that, the question to you all is, what is your personal potential? What can you become? And for those of us that are in business, what's your business potential? What can you become? I want to show you some pictures to just drive home the point, and then we continue the conversation. Remember that guy? He's not just an ordinary guy. That's the former president of the most powerful nation in the world. Potential. The first picture is that of the first Macintosh. I'm sure if they showed Steve Jobs from wherever he is right now that look what you created first, look what is being made now, his answer would be, well, I saw what is being made now. That's why I started. Because he believed in potential. Potential. Hello? The power of potential. And that's where we're going to get started this morning, talking about personal and enterprise prosperity essential. You can be all that you can be. And it doesn't matter your age. And this is not a motivational speaking. I remember where I'm coming from. I know where I am, and I know where I'm going. Trust me, whoever you see in front of you today, keep breathing. Give me another 2 years, because I understand the power of potential. And that is the same for everybody in this room. Now, how old were you when you know that the destiny of humanity is prosperity? Well, let me tell you today, I was doing some research about 7 years ago, and I found out that when the Maker made the first human, the very first word that came out of the mouth of the Maker to the first human is the word prosper. That was his marching order. That's what you are meant to be, to do upon the head, is to prosper. And we're going to break it down this morning. What really is prosperity? What does it mean to prosper? It's not about having 27 children. And I'm not saying having 27 children is bad if you can afford to send them to school and take care of them. How many of us are knowing that for the first time this morning, that the first word that came out of the Maker's mouth to the first human is the word prosper? This is the first time you are hearing about it. Okay, pretty much everybody knows. Okay, great. If we know, how come we are not as prosperous as we really desire to be? First, let's define prosperity so that we can get started on the same common footing. Anytime you check the dictionary meaning of any word, and the dictionary is trying to use that same word to define that word, know that the people who wrote the dictionary were confused. Because the dictionary said that prosperity is the state of being prosperous. So you ask, okay, so what does it mean to be prosperous? And then I checked Wikipedia, which of course, is people like you and I that edit it. And they said prosperity is the flourishing, thriving, good fortune, and successful social status. And then they said prosperity often produces profuse wealth. So you're asking, so what is the prosperity? Are we together this morning? So let's define it. After about 10 years of study, I kind of distilled all the definitions that I've come across to have my own definition, and that's one thing I would like everybody to take this morning. Prosperity is simply the prompt and progressive optimization of your potential. Don't forget where we started from. What really is your potential? There are people in this room that are the next Jeff Bezos. This is not, the what are the top skills that they have? That way, you've been able to identify one of the key words or the passwords, to that. Once you identify the skill, ask yourself, do I possess this skill? If you don't, or even if you do, ask yourself, how well am I doing with this skill? You can grade yourself on a scale of 0 to 10, for instance. The K stands for domain-specific knowledge. Knowledge. Very, very important. It's only in this part of the world that people get into stuff without really wanting to know about that stuff. In Nigeria, without sounding immodest, we have policemen who don't know anything about being a policeman. How many of us can identify with that? So if you are going to succeed in anything you do, this is back. Hopefully this is back also. You need skills, you need domain-specific knowledge, you need the right attitude. That's the A. And the N stands for network. You need a banker to succeed in business, for instance. You need a lawyer. You need to identify what skills, what knowledge, what attitude, what network, and then what resources you require. I really hope this comes so that I don't eat into somebody else's time. Now, we're talking about developing prosperity. And I want to go back to my definition. It's about the prompt and progressive optimization of potential. The word I need us to focus on this morning is not even the word potential. Every one of us in this room have potential. It's the word optimization. How do you make the most of your potential? How do you become all that you can become? Optimization is really a function of programming. It's about how you condition yourself first to believe in your potential and then to identify whatever it is that you need to do and then actually doing those things for you to be able to bridge the gap and deliver on your desired outcomes. And optimizing potential requires a holistic approach. It's about creating the right paradigm. I was speaking earlier today with a friend, I think while we were waiting, and again, Nancy said we're going to talk about it today, the Nigerian perspective. Nigeria will happen to you. And I said to the person, are people not successful in Nigeria? And she said, yes. Are people not making billions in Nigeria? She said, yes. So what exactly are we talking about in Nigerian, perspective? There's really nothing different here than in America. Life is happening everywhere. There are nations that have it worse than Nigeria, do you know? And people are still successful in those nations. So it's not about what's happening externally. It's about the paradigm that you create for yourself. But beyond the paradigm is also the processes you create for yourself and the belief that you have in your possibilities. Now we're going to go very quickly. All right, can you help with this, please, the media guys? Are we having a great time? All right. So I was talking about the fact that optimization is actually what helps you to achieve your potential. And just like somebody that is trying to train their muscle, you don't know how much weight you can actually carry until you stretch that muscle and you train that muscle. One day, maybe before you started with 50 lbs, by the way, there are Nigerians who just, won gold for carrying weight. I'm sure the first time the lady started, she was able to carry something small. And then she continued to optimize the potential of the muscle. And then one day she's able to carry that big feat. It's the same for all of us. And I'm really going to break it down in a moment, but I need you to see the slides. So if the media people will please help me. Because what I intend to do is to build a foundation upon which every other speaker are going to build this morning. It's a very serious thing that we're doing here. Media, please. Thank you very much. Right. Optimization is a function of programming. And optimizing your potential requires a holistic approach. It's about the paradigm, the processes, and the possibilities. And I'm going to move from here now to then begin to delve into the concept of prosperity. What exactly would make it happen for you, and how do you achieve it? Now, I do this every week, but I have not seen what's happening here before. Okay, great, thank you. Right, this is actually a true story of a man that was able to make a desert. You know the story, right? So, essentially, to drive home the point that whatever it is that you can desire, you can achieve, if you're ready to optimize your potential. Now, let's talk about the matrix, the paradigm within which prosperity happens. Remember what I've said before. It's not about what happens in your environment. It's about the kind of paradigm you are able to create for yourself. And I'm going to just use one or two principles to drive home the point. Now, a lot of people believe that for them to do well, other people have to suffer. It's called the zero-sum game. It's not true. As a matter of fact, it's an economic model. But it's not a true economic model because you have billionaires in America and you have billionaires in Nigeria. You must cultivate the abundance mentality. Whether you're just getting started in business, or you've been in business forever, or you've not even started at all. And I'd like to also talk about the mystery of capital. Because what's happening and what is producing some of the failure that we see in Africa is that people don't actually understand what capital is. It is not money. By the way, the banker said, we're going to give you money. Let me just say that capital injection without capacity development will lead to catastrophe. Trust me. Now, let's go back to the mystery of capital. It's about your thought. The master said something. He said, he who thinks he doesn't have, even that which he has, is going to be taken away from him. Now, focus on the word think. If you think that Nigeria is bad, even the little opportunity you have is going to be taken away from you very soon. Hello? I can see this man doing like this. God forbid. Right. So it starts from your thought. If you think that your business is small, it's going to ever remain small. If you think that you will not amount to anything, you will always not amount to anything. Are we together? It is within this paradigm that prosperity can happen. I have a few other things that I want to talk about. Communication. What do you say to yourself? And I can go on and really delve deeper into some of these concepts. The power of confession. What do you actually say? What do you articulate about the business that you have, about your profession, about your career? What are you saying? You must be saying something, and you must always be saying the right things. I said, let's start a game with C. People are saying corruption, catastrophe. Is that all you see about Nigeria? Nigerians are some of the most creative people on the earth. Nigerians have capacity, and it's been proven. We are not motivating anybody. In America, for instance, Nigerians are the most educated class. It is just who we are. We are the best, in my own opinion, that this world has to offer. Right? Communication. And then massive execution. Yes, you can be big on planning, you can be big on strategy, but you have to also be massive in execution. Because it's not just about the thinking, about the dreaming, it's also about the doing. Now, let's go quickly as I talk about the core of prosperity. Because prosperity is not materialism by any standard. A lot of people, when you mention the word prosperity, they're thinking, oh, it's talking about money. No. As a matter of fact, income is only one metric of prosperity. Let me say that again. If all you have is money, then you are indeed a poor person. I'm not the one who said it, but it's the truth. So we're going to be delving into the different dimensions of the concept of prosperity, and I'm putting a tool in your hand from today, what you can use to measure whether you are more prosperous today than you were yesterday. When it comes to being prosperous, and I will talk about the personal part of it and the enterprise part of it, the first metric you want to look at is what I call ingenuity. And that's another word for originality. Now, let me ask you a question. If you were climbing a 70-story building by staircase, and you got to the 69th floor, and you realize you're in the wrong building, how would you feel? Let me ask the question again. You are climbing a 70-story building by staircase, no elevator. You get to the 69th floor, you realize you're in the wrong building. How would you feel? Please, I need some response. You feel what? Sorry, one after the other. Demoralized, discouraged, exasperated, disappointed. That's the same way a lot of people are living their lives. They haven't settled down to find out about their originality, about their identity and their purpose. And this is not only for personal, it's also for business. Just this morning, I was talking about strategic management for about 120 entrepreneurs, and we're talking about the concept of strategy that you've got to start first with vision. On the computer network, every computer system can be found by using an IP address. Is that not so? The same way every human being has an IP address. The I stands for your identity, the P stands for your purpose. If you haven't gotten that, then you need to go back to that. Because if You're climbing a 70-story building and you're just going and you're just going. Realizing at the end of the day you're in the wrong building, you're going to be disappointed. It's more like you've wasted a lifetime. So that's the first measure of prosperity. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Do I understand my purpose? Do I understand my identity? What's the identity of this business? Why are we even doing this? Number two, how you begin to measure that you're prosperous is your imagination. The way you imagine your projects today should show that you have advanced in your imagination than the way you imagined your project yesterday. And we all have that faculty for imagination. Ingenuity. You know, the National Forensic Science Technology Center states that no two people are the same. So how come people want to be like the other person? Why? Find out who you are and then proceed in that direction. Trust me, if you are able to cross your own lane and you're able to finish your own race, you would have been very prosperous. If you finish the race of somebody else, can we say you've been prosperous? Of course not. Imagination. Because prosperity within influences the prosperity in your reality. If you don't prosper inside, chances are that you might not prosper on the outside. You don't have somebody who thinks, is going to ever be poor. Even when money comes, that money is going to slip away. Right? Your imagination is really a nation of images from where worlds are built. And in case you are asking yourself, I have not been using this faculty, how can I? You probably need to work with a coach, but then you can begin with meditation. Just getting yourself into a cool place and just begin to imagine what you want to achieve about that business and imagine what you want to achieve about your life. How you imagine it today, like I said, must show that there is an advancement from how you imagined it yesterday. It shows that you are prosperous. You are getting better. Now, the next metric for prosperity is intelligence. How you're able to acquire knowledge and then apply that insight. A lot of people want to prosper, want to be successful, but don't want to get knowledge. Remember I talked about paradigm process. Part of the process. Knowledge is critical. Intelligence, particularly. Intelligence in political and military, they will tell you that we're trying to gather intelligence about our enemy, right? To be able to know where to hit them. And intelligence is multidimensional. A lot of people focus just on academic intelligence. There are so many other dimensions. Emotional intelligence, which is huge. I'm going to tell you a story about emotional intelligence. And where I got that quote from, it's harder to be kind than to be clever. It was Thomas Edison. He was just seated, in his house one day, and they came to him to tell him that his factory had just been burnt down and everything that he had. So he quickly rushed out and called his son, and they were all wondering, how come, you're not disturbed? He said, go call your mother and tell her to call her friend. No, I said, why do I need to call them? He said, well, this is probably the greatest fire that they're going to ever witness. Emotional intelligence, how you deal, with yourself, with other people, very, very critical. Financial intelligence is also very key. A lot of people have opportunities, but because they have not invested time in financial intelligence, this is what makes somebody earning $1 million to still be borrowing money from somebody earning 200,000. It's just a difference. This is another metric of prosperity. When the MD was speaking, he said, one of the reasons why I came today is to be able to touch somebody. You need to ask yourself, on a daily basis, are you impacting someone? It's not about money. It's your life, your gift, your product and services touching somebody. Are you able to reach more people today than you were able to reach yesterday? That's another metric of prosperity. And finally, we come to income, which is also not the final metric. What has happened is that for so long, a lot of people focus just on income. And they miss out on the other part. But how do you even increase your income? First is about investing in yourself. Because the ROI in investing in yourself is much more than any ROI, trust me. Secondly is understand the principle that you don't have to give, you give to have. Whether it's of your time, of your energy, of even your money, you really don't have to give. But when you give, it's definitely coming back to you. And then the real measure of your wealth, we're going to know it if you really lost money and you lost all your money. That's when we're going to know the real measure of your wealth. Last week I lost money, a lot of money. Stolen at Transcorp Hilton. A lot of money, over $1 million. But I'm still here standing. I'm very prosperous man. Because my wealth is not tied just to money. And then influence. How are you able to get other people to do what you intend to do? That shows you are prosperous. Nancy brought everybody here today. That's how prosperous Nancy is. Influence. Got Jais to partner, got everybody to come. How do you convert strangers to promoters? That's the power of influence. And you need to understand the power of persuasion. The banker said if you have good intentions and you're able to present it. Now, I know that a lot of the things I'm talking about sounds esoteric, but like I said, I'm building a foundation. And I do believe that when the other people come, they would bring the practicality of some of these principles to you. And of course, by the time we get, to the panel sessions, I will break it down for you. Are we together? Because if we don't get the principles, we can just be talking about Jeff Bezos started with 1 million, and then he has 100 million. You want to ask, how is it able to produce it? What's happening at the background? Another metric of prosperity is immunity. And this is being able to proactively safeguard what you've got. This talks about not just personal, but also business. If you build everything and one hacker just comes someday and is able to get it, how prosperous can we really say you are? Immunity also in terms of your health. If you have all the money, but you don't have health, can we really say you are prosperous? How are you protecting what you are building? The level at which you are able to protect that which you have, not even talking about getting more, talks about how prosperous you are. Nigeria has oil. How much of the wealth have we been able to protect? Then last but not the least metric of prosperity is immortality. And I'm not talking about going to heaven, okay? I'm talking about building a brand that outlives you. About understanding that you need to leave a legacy. We're talking about personal and business acceleration masterclass. About understanding that you need to prepare your own heirs for the asset that you're acquiring. Because all that you make, somebody has to continue with it. So even if you make all the money, but you have not prepared somebody to take it to the next level, can we really say you are prosperous? It's like saying success without a successor. Are we together? Right. So why do people fail to prosper? Remember, I'm not talking about success. Success is a very simple thing. Setting goals and achieving them. We're talking about something more multidimensional, and this is the second to my last slide. It's because a lot of people are ignorant of potential. People don't even know how far and how limitless that they are, and the potential of that business that you started with just 10 naira. There are stories replete across the world of people that started small and have now become multi-billionaires. And you can do it as well. So if you are ignorant of potential, then you still have a long way to go. Number two, people have identity and purpose crisis. It doesn't matter if you go from here to America, a lizard in Nigeria cannot become an alligator in America. I go to America all the time. In the past 9 months, I've gone twice. It's not about going to America. Improper programming. And I hope after today, you're going to be very intentional about what you allow to program you, because every human being is programmable. We are programmable beings. How are we programmable? The things we hear, the things we see, the people we associate with. You've heard, dimensions of all these things I'm talking about. That you are going to be a reflection of people you surround yourself with. But you have to be intentional about that. What are you watching? What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? I have a very few people that I listen to when it comes to the people that, I really listen to. Because you can get confused. With the age of social media, everybody is speaking. People who read Yoruba are giving you diagnostics about cancer. You're wondering. Wrong metrics. That's another reason people and enterprise fail to prosper. You're focusing only on money, money, money. Even in the world of strategic management, before now, enterprises have only focused on money until you have things like balanced scorecard that says there are other dimensions to these things for us to measure performance, for us to measure productivity. And then, of course, the last one is share irresponsibility. Having heard all that you've heard this morning and the many more you are going to hear, because we are humans and we have willpower, some people still say, I don't care. Well, there's nothing we can do for you. Sorry to break it. So how do you develop prosperity? Developing personal and enterprise prosperity requires a holistic approach. I've said it. It's about first building the right paradigm. It's not about what happens externally to you. It's about what happens internally. You need to first test and validate where you are in terms of the different metrics that I have shared. That way you're able to identify the gap and then you know what to do next. Sometimes you may need to alter your approach because sometimes you need to take a break for you to even break through. Some of us are focused on just one thing. Money, 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 money. And we are missing out on impacting lives. We're missing out on, becoming a person of influence. We're missing out on having immunity for our business and even for our personal lives. We're missing out on building brands that outlives us. Be kind to yourself. Please look at your neighbor and tell them to be kind to themselves. Yes. You see, prosperity is not about success according to society. It's about first identifying your own why you are here, who you are. Remember, the first metric is ingenuity. So if you just want to say, I must play tennis like Serena Williams, if that's not your purpose, well, you will grow muscle, but there will not be medals. Are we together? Right. You can work with a coach, a professional that gives you objective feedback and is able to help you with your blind spot. Whether you're an executive, whether in your personal life, I do this. Obafemi does this. You work with people to help them to optimize their potential in order to create the prosperity matrix. And of course, you need to run what I call agile programming. This is just bringing business sense, to all these dynamics. It's about doing it again and again, evaluating yourself and doing it again and again until you get better at it. That's why I said optimization is about programming. It's about doing it again and again and then getting better at it. The journey is as important as the destination. Now, because of time, I will not give you all the tools. When, we get to do the panel session, I'll give you some of the tools, but these are the takeaways. The ultimate potential of any seed is what? Your destiny is what? Recreate your internal conditions so that you can recreate your external reality. And then, income is just one metric of prosperity. Lastly, your greatest competition is your potential. See, it's about being more prosperous today than you were yesterday. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.